Welcome to the MMAforMoney Show, episode 76. In this show, we will be reviewing UFC Vegas 18, Overeem versus Volkov, and previewing UFC 258, Uzman versus Burns. I am Bob Boss, your favorite garbage man at MMA State of Mind on Twitter, and also here on Haps. I'm here with Real Mike Copenaver at Don't Cope Just Win, and Mikey Gilman at Mikey Gills, Mr. Handlebar himself. Also follow the show on Twitter at MMAforMoney Show. That way you won't miss anything. Real Mike, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful, man. Stoked to be here to talk about some UFC, to be here with our fans and have a little bit of chit chat inside of the chat.
Mike Gills, how's life?
Very busy days today. I almost didn't make the broadcast. Had to do a quick little shape up over here, but we're good. I'm ready to go. I'm excited.
Sorry, I'm just being mesmerized by the whole everything. I'm here for it. For those of you who aren't watching live, and if you're not watching live, that's just on you. But you're missing out on a fantastic aviator, handlebar, mustache, Fu Manchu situation going on by Mikey Gills.
Don't forget the leather jacket. Don't forget the leather jacket.
The leather jacket. And when you first hopped on, did you take it off? Were you also wearing a silver cross, or am I imagining that?
Look, I took the rings off, the necklace off. I didn't want it to jingle against the microphone.
Which I completely understand. Awesome. Well, quick thank you for everyone who's already hopping in the chat, watching live. We got 65 people already watching live. We got Mike Gill's brother in the house here. We got Jake, girl from Kansas City. How you doing? We got Yassine in here from St. Petersburg. Man, how you doing? Okay, we'll keep hitting up people there. Obviously, throw questions in there. If you got them, we will keep checking. Well, the MMAforMoney Show is here live on Haps. Obviously, if you're watching live, you're in our comments, you understand that. What is Haps? It is a new platform that makes it super easy to simultaneously broadcast to all social media channels. If you've downloaded and subscribed to Haps, you will get 100 free coins for joining, which you can use to support work at the MMAforMoney Show or other awesome people that you can subscribe to, people that have hopped in on our show, people that have hopped in our comments. They have their own channels that you can check out. We have our own individual ones. Occasionally putting stuff out there. You can find the show itself on Haps if you're watching here now, on Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast Podcasts, the RSS feed. We also stream live on YouTube and have the shows there after the fact, as well as like tiny little tidbits and breakdowns of whether it be the DraftKings lineup or our free bets, and sometimes recaps. Just depends what the show entailed. If you subscribe, you will never miss a show. Now we got to change something a little bit. We got to do a little speaking at you for a minute because we're trying to help you. We're always trying to help you. So time to time, and frankly, not enough times, we bring up Mr. Primetime himself. That's MMA4Money, the patriarch of all things MMAforMoney show, site, you name it. One thing you have to know about him is his staggering ability to win you money at NASCAR. That's plus 100 units average per season for the last 15 seasons. Right now, he's actually running a sale on these packages, which, like, as far as I could remember, I don't remember that ever happening before. It's $100 off a NASCAR package, and those are available at MMAformoney.com/premium-packages. The NFL may have just had its Super Bowl, but NASCAR has their Super Bowl at the beginning of the season. The Daytona 500 is this Sunday, and that's when the sale ends on Valentine's Day. So get your Valentine to buy you this, basically, and you can buy her back whatever you want. But if you wait until then, you will also miss some of the lower series races that are on Friday and Saturday. Don't wait. One more time. That's $100 off a NASCAR package at MMAformoney.com/premium-packages. Now that's done, and we'll probably rebring that up a few times, because if you want to make money, you'll make money. You make big money with him. We're going to review the Overeem versus Volkov. Basically, I'm just going to steamroll through the results, and we will go back and hit a few sad ones, and maybe kind of wax poetic on Alistair Overeem for a little bit, just because he deserves it, man. He deserves it, I think. Sorry, Yassine, if not Yassine, Johnny Be Good, if your picture froze, it will hop back. Obviously, all that stuff resets itself, or you might need to hop back in, and then we will be frozen. I know you like to see how animated we are. We'll get right back to it. Volkov versus Overeem, the fight card. Devontae Smith wins by TKO, doctor stoppage. That eye, though, on Justin James. Timur Valiev got the unanimous decision. Sung Woo Choi, the underdog there. Wish I would end up betting that. I talked about betting it, but didn't.
Yeah, we all three of us liked him.
Yeah, but then I didn't bet him. What was wrong with me? I looked back after the fact. I went for other gigantic underdogs for less, which hit.
Yep.
But I didn't actually go for him, which I was actually way more confident in him, which is beyond ridiculous. Carol
Yeah.
Rosa beat Jocelyn Edwards. O'Day Osborne got a KO left cross in the first round against Bonder. Clay Guida, that's right, believe in the Carpenter there at plus 180. Got the decision over Michael Johnson.
Dude, Michael Johnson is such a disgrace.
Oh, absolutely. And so is Mike Rodriguez, who lost in the next fight by second round rear naked choke. I mean, kudos to Mikey Gills for having Marquez in his DraftKings lineup. But I mean,
we're going to talk about that.
Oh yeah, we absolutely will. The few things that we're going to hit for sure is we have to talk about Clay Guida. Absolutely, we got to talk about Mike Rodriguez laying his egg, and then we'll hit a few more as it goes on. Lara Procopio got a unanimous decision over Molly McCann. No shock there. I guess the odds are a little bit off, but Cody Stamen versus Askar didn't happen because like an hour before fight time or whatever, Askar was just like, hey, I don't actually have medicals, so we're not going to fight. And then he got booed from the UFC today or yesterday. Wonderful. Alexander Pantoja got the unanimous decision over everyone's hype machine, Manel Cape. I'll get it right eventually. Benel Dariush won a split decision over Carlos Diego Ferreira. A little bit about that one. Renault versus Chizon was canceled. Sandhagen made everybody sad. It's just like I say, he made everybody sad. That was so vicious, made everyone sad. And then in the main event, Alexander Volkov made everyone sad round two. They're both the sad fights of the night. I don't know. I think the Overeem one might have been the more sad one, but had Overeem just okay. We'll get to that one eventually. So we're gonna jump back. First, we went 1-1 on bets. How'd DraftKings do? Just give me the points total, and then we'll go back to some high points, and you can give a full rundown on it.
Well, we did 4-6 for 440 points, and that's without talking about Mike Rodriguez. So whenever you want to circle back, just let me know.
Hey, it's still pretty good for not our best week, and we've been on a roll. So Mikey Gills has been killing it. So you guys keep up with him because next week I feel something big.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you to everyone hopping in the chat. Thank you, Brad Trashuk, for subscribing there. Johnny B. Good, I already said hey to you. Everyone, please hop in. We much appreciate it. We're at scotch under 200 people here right now. Oh wait, Santiago Ponzinibbio. It's a stitch back. You can go back to bed. It's gonna keep coming up. Like I feel that it works, and I'm gonna believe it into existence. I promise. Really, the main fights I want to talk about is the Michael Johnson Clay Guida fight, the Mike Rodriguez Marquez fight, and then the main event. Other than those three, were there any ones you guys wanted to hit for sure?
I want to just touch on the Mike Rodriguez, DeMilo Marquez, but we can get to that. We can go all through your stuff first. Mine's just a general complaint.
Sure. Well, that one's in there. That's
he brought it up. He brought it up. Yeah.
But the first one I want to talk about is Michael Johnson because they kind of mirror each other in a little way. And I didn't have the stones to even make it for a full unit bet on Clay Guida, but if you look at my Twitter, I did it to win 1 unit, and he had dipped a little bit. Was plus 177, so it was kind of a little over, not quite a full unit. In hindsight, I wish I would because I was so confident in talking. I was all into it while we were talking on the show, and then I just didn't quite have it to put enough down. But exactly what happened is hopping ahead again. Michael Johnson looked amazing. He did, and he always does. Then he fell apart, and he lost to Clay Guida in 2021. This is ridiculous. I agree, Brad. Ponzi scheme, Santiago Ponzi did fall apart because of my sins. But I'm going to keep using him almost like voodoo, because apparently it's that voodoo that you do that when I say his name, we get more views. So, hello, Mr. Pop Prime himself. Marble Man 31 is in the chat. How you doing? So I'm just hyped for Clay Guida more than anything, and the fact that Michael Johnson is like the best worst fighter ever. He is the best worst fighter. Real Mike, how are you feeling about Clay Guida in that fight?
Clay Guida, I mean, he looked, I guess, wonderful. I just can't believe that this, I guess, was he 40 years old, jumping around with little pigtails in his hair, looking like the brat. I just can't. It just makes me sick that he won that fight. Like I know he could have won that fight maybe like 15 years ago, but holy shit, dude, Michael Johnson, you're not doing anything for yourself. like I said last week on the podcast that I guessed before you even made me look good on the interviews that you did, is that you were doing too much coke, you were partying too hard, and you weren't taking it serious. And obviously, you still aren't taking it serious. Clay Guida whooped your ass, bro. I don't even know, man. It's just sad, bro. Like that super talented Michael Johnson is a lot. He's just a detriment to his own self. He kind of like my own brother, War Machine.
So, Mike Gills, I want to hear your thoughts because I know you were right on with me with Guida, and I'm pretty sure you had him in the final DraftKings lineup, if I remember right.
No, I didn't. I took him out. It was
that's right.
The only reason I left him out on the DraftKings is because he was 7,400, and I just couldn't fit him with my with the top guys that I wanted to fit in as well. But just going back to the actual fight, like the reason I picked him, probably the reason you picked him too, was just I talked about how Michael Johnson's not the same fighter when he's moving backwards. He's way less technical and he starts to panic a little bit. What I didn't see coming was when Clay Guida was doing that, he was going to be able to just outstrike him, just landing right hand after right hand. It was kind of insane. And real quick, just want to touch back to Real Mike's point about Clay Guida's hair starting to get a little thin, looking a little Shawn Michaels WrestleMania 25-ish. Maybe time to cut it. But
don't ever disrespect Shawn Michaels with such disrespect.
The biggest fan ever. I'm just saying, as someone who is follically challenged, I understand the issue, and I'm just throwing it out there, one bro to another.
Whoa, speaking of follically challenged, totally off topic. I had a dream last night that most of my hair was gone. Totally crazy.
I think it's sheer shock and adrenaline that happened after Clay Guida won, and you felt like his sheer win had to do with he's the reverse Samson. He's getting stronger as it slowly fades away.
Like you said, Michael Johnson was doing pretty good, and I felt like he could have won this fight until Clay Guida hit him. I think in the end of the first or the second, in the beginning of the second, he hit him with a good right. Clay Guida hit Michael Johnson, and it just totally changed Michael Johnson's respect for Clay Guida. He didn't look confident after that point. He knew that basically the cardio was still there for Guida. It was impressive from Guida, and I can't believe that a lot of us didn't slam that kid. The man.
Man, even Mr. Primetime himself is enjoying your Fu Manchu. It's got a life of its own at this point. It's I think we just hopped up 50 viewers. Yeah, 50 viewers just because of that.
I can tweet it out real quick. We can see what's going on.
You might be your new thumbnail.
Porn handlebar stash, son.
Because here's why it's good. I'm going to explain why it's good. It is perfectly lined up. It is severe, and it does what they're supposed to do, where it goes in underneath the chin. There's that slight indentation underneath.
Even better, folks. It's Valentine's Day weekend, baby. You better get your women ready because they are going to be ready for that, boy.
Valentine's Day. Why do you think I did this?
Oh, I know why you did that, son.
I bet your fiance is just so happy right now. Thanks, Prime.
The bedroom door is actually locked.
This is why our fiancés don't like us at all, and then Bob's wife hates us. So we love you, girl.
She likes me though, so I guess that's all that works. But
at least we have that going for us.
Exactly. Thanks, Prime, for the Creative Genius Award. I'm going to go and say that has to do with the mustache more than anything.
Thank you, Jen.
Marble Man, how are you doing? Saying hi to us on Periscope. Yes, Periscope is linked in here on Haps. One of the great things about it, we're kind of split evenly currently viewership between Haps and Periscope, like 120 or so on each. So thank you everyone who is hopping in. Thank you, Jackie Girl, for that Super Heart Award.
And if you notice, when we talk about how our fiancés hate us and your wife, Bob, we jumped up like 30 plus viewers in a second, just from the fact that the guys love hearing about how your women just hate you guys. They hate us. I
don't know, man. That was like a 90 jump. We went from 250 to almost 350. I don't want it to become that kind of show though. I'm willing to use the voodoo of Santiago Ponzinibbio to knead the dough, if you know what I'm saying.
I'll be your junior Tom Likas if you guys need to hold on to something. Okay, $40 dates. Don't go over that. Don't be wasting money on a bunch of flowers. These girls aren't going to appreciate. Keep it simple. Okay, keep it on. Sorry, and all the girl viewers, I love you. Please don't quit me.
I mean, if you quit him, just don't quit us. If you quit one out of three, we still got a solid average.
Just like them better than me, and I'm the dick. I'm the bad guy. That's just all you got to do. It works out.
Okay, well, it's time for Mike Gills to shine. I knew that Mike Rodriguez had his issues, so I said I would never trust him with my money. But you not only went the other side, you had him in DraftKings. He was a big scorer for you. Not Mike Rodriguez. Yeah, Marquez. Yeah. Please tell me about how Marquez just did you so right.
I don't know who told you Marquez did me so right. I played Mike Rodriguez. I don't know what this Marquez.
Dude, I thought you went. Dude, I thought you went Marquez.
No, I didn't. Of course not. Dude, did you hear how bad I was shitting on Marquez all week? Like,
I know.
Really?
That's why I was
I'm-
surprised when I thought I saw Marquez. I was just like, wait a minute.
I would have corrected you earlier. I thought you misspoke. I was like, all right, I'm just not going to, say that. But no, of course I didn't. All right, look, we'll start off with that one if we want to. Look, Mike Rodriguez, like, I'm done. I'm done with this guy forever. Like, he lost to Danilo Marquez. Like, I'm not even sure that guy's a real fighter. And now he's 2-0 in the UFC despite being objectively terrible. And, like, what hurts the most about this is I could have played Volkov for $200 less. But I was like, you know what? There's some things I like about Reem in this fight, blah, blah, blah. And I missed out like 125 points. And again, thousands of dollars because we had 440 without him. We would have been up in like the 560, 570 territory. That is money. That would have been the highest score on the whole show. But no, Danilo Marquez.
Yeah, it wasn't good. But me and Bob, we were both, we weren't high on, Rodriguez. We said he's slow. They nicknamed slow.
Yeah.
His brain's
He's a quitter.
slow.
He's a quick
Maybe
temper.
he's a quitter for sure. Obviously, I mean, he literally just gave his neck up, just so cute for Danilo Marquez. So either way, it's just disgusting to see these guys with so much talent. It reminds me of like when you're in elementary school and you see the taller, bigger guy that you think is gonna be really good at basketball, and then you're just like, bro, you can't even catch the fucking ball or dribble. What fucking good is your height? Get off the basketball court.
Well, you guys are talking to literally the one person on the planet who picked Ed Herman to beat Mike Rodriguez, and it happened. A little things on the side, but still, like that's what happened. And I'm like, that's how much I didn't believe in Danilo Marquez. Anyway, I'm done with him. Never talking about him again. Just rifle through the rest of this real quick.
Yeah.
Two positives, 2 of our 3 underdogs hits, and that's what the takeaway from this whole thing should be. Consistently finding underdogs on DraftKings is how you make money in the long run. I made a smart choice. I bailed on Manel Cape. Like I won't lie, I succumbed to peer pressure. You guys and like everyone else in the world was like, nah. So that was actually a smart peer pressure. Benil Dariush, Lara Procopio, they both came through huge, 95 and 110 points respectively. Beyond that, if your underdogs are hitting, you don't need to get lucky just as much. We just got past the Mike Rodriguez stuff. Don't ever need to mention that again. Rosa and Valiev also hit big. Can't be mad at that. It was our last underdog. The Hail Mary pick, Justin James. Couldn't quite find success. There was one moment in the fight where he cracked, what's his name in the head? Smith in the head, wobbled him for a second. I literally jumped up on my couch thinking, oh my God, it's happening. That would have been 3 for 3 on underdogs. Just couldn't pull it off. Whatever. 440 points, 4-6. Not terrible, not good either. We'll get back to it this week. Yeah.
Sorry, that must have been when you talked about, because in your breakdown you were talking about how you went with Ed Herman, so I must be like, oh no, he's picking against Rodriguez again. I don't know why that clicked.
Yeah, no.
Either way, I can't remember everything. I don't claim to remember everything, and I this time was probably just mesmerized by the Fu Manchu, and it's just like its prevalence. That's this entire show, basically, its prevalence. Sorry, I'm never going to be able to get past that. I'm probably just going to stare at it for a while. I mean, you would think that some of the next fights we want to go on are like with like the win of Pantoja and stuff like that. But I mean, like it's a straightforward fight. It was a good fight. But like the ones I really want to talk about, I want to talk about the Alistair Overeem fight, and for a couple reasons. Well, one, I mean, if you want to hear some more of my thoughts, I actually wrote a little something on the site for it at MMAforMoney.com about this fight, specifically Alistair Overeem, where he went and where he's going, in my opinion. But just in terms of the fight, it was the dude ended up crawling on all fours away from somebody after getting dropped. That's a thing that happened. Mm-hmm. And I guess I need a minute to collect myself. Mikey Gills, feel free to talk about that for a little bit while I regain composure.
Well, we all should have known what was up at the weigh-ins when Alistair Overeem was made to look like about an 11-year-old child. Like the size difference was staggering, and honestly, that threw me off. It threw me a little bit more on the Volkov. I was picking Volkov to win it anyway, but it was the weigh-ins that really sealed it for me. But in that fight, it's the same thing that we always talk about. Alistair Overeem has the worst defense in the history of mankind. He puts his hands up like this and stands still and lets you punch him. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know how the hell he became a kickboxing champion like that. Maybe he just got used to it with the bigger gloves and he never, he's had too many hits to the head. He didn't realize it doesn't work in MMA. But no, it is what it is. Volkov's next generation. What is he, 29 years old, I think? Really solid striking, big, powerful guy. That guy's going to be a problem going forward.
No, absolutely. Thanks, Marvel Man himself, for that $1 award there for the teamwork, dreamwork. Appreciate that. Real Mike, Alexander Volkov, Alistair Overeem. More thoughts on Alistair Overeem, but I mean, because we could all see that Volkov is up for big things. I mean, that's just kind of clear at this point with him putting on all that weight and actually still being able to move. But your thoughts on Alistair Overeem, like where he's at now and going forward?
Yeah, I mean, I liked Volkov. That's the reason why I bet him when he fought Derek Lewis, and he upset me. It's just the only reason I had personal feelings from that fight, and that was the reason why I wouldn't even lean him on the show or give it out. But I personally bet Volkov. I just knew that his striking was going to be too much for Overeem. Overeem, he doesn't like to be hit anymore. He literally, once he gets hit in the nose, he just remembers the feeling of being broken or crushed or whatever it is from his PTSD. But Overeem just does not look anywhere near himself. It's just really pathetic. Like you said, on all fours, crawling away from your opponent. It literally, there's memes across the whole internet saying this is my girlfriend after round two. But it's just sad to see some of these great athletes end up like that on the Shield. But that's the nature of the business. And Volkov looked absolutely amazing. Finally, using his strength, distance and range and patience, he looked like a great striker, and he showed it there. So it was quite impressive from Volkov. And it's sad that Overeem showed up for that paycheck because him guarding his face was really soft.
In his defense, it's a fat paycheck.
Yeah.
Like he has always made ridiculous money to show.
He's got that OG deal from
no. He has that OG deal that no one has. He has the Lorenzo Fertitta individual deal.
That's what I was just saying.
No one else had. No one else had that. He was the only one that had that. He's coming on the way in. Lorenzo signed him personally, and he was one of the few people that had just a ridiculous to show amount of money. He didn't have to. I'm pretty sure he didn't even have a win bonus, but his to show has always been ridiculous. This is just another further stamp on my crusade against USADA in general and keeping drugs out of my athletes. Overeem was my dude. He had to completely figure out an entire new way to fight because they took him off his special sauce. I'm not talking about the Poirier hot sauce. I got to get in the fridge over there. I'll go get it. But it's not quite going to give him the steam that what he had going on before. So USADA is no fun. They take away all my fun. And because of that, I'd boycott them if I could, but I don't know how that would actually go about.
Why did we do USADA? Who did that?
They did it to make it a better sell right before they were going to sell, to make it look more legitimate. But at this point, let's just get rid of it. I'm sorry. Just a quick mini diatribe on USADA. The fact that it's a complete scam, and all it does is make guys that have the money for the good stuff keep getting to use the good stuff, and the guys that can't afford the good stuff to fall between the cracks. So, Alistair Overeem, I miss you, and more specifically, Ubereem, I miss you, babe. So,
should we do a moment of silence or no? We're already running along.
I know we're running along. That's always what I was going to do. A moment of silence. Hello to Arika there. That stay safe for it. Appreciate that. And we got tons of people hopping in. Wow. Exactly, Brad. I agree. Let them juice, especially Overeem and the people that clearly need to juice. At this point, you let them juice for so many years.
Yeah.
Just let them keep doing it. I'm not saying let's get crazy. Just keep them within normal limits. And by normal limits, I mean superhuman on this side of not exploding.
Yeah, there is no sadder photo in existence than the side-by-side comparison of Vitor Belfort from 2011 versus 2015-ish, whenever he was off the saw. Everybody knows the photo that I'm talking about. One of them, he looks like Godzilla after they nuked him, and the next one, he just looks like a corpse. It's terrible. Anyway, I'm with you. The fans never asked for USADA. Just bye. We don't need you anymore. We're on,
Hello, Lucia. Sorry for pronouncing that terribly. From the Haps team themselves, thank you for hopping in. We're going to go into UFC 258. I know you're wondering, man, you spent so much time reviewing that, even though it was mainly on one fight. But don't worry about it, because there are some fights here that are going to get skimmed in a major way, especially a couple of them where it's just, man, it's rough. But UFC 258, Uzman versus Burns. That's an amazing main event. And it used to have a good co-main event, and it used to have a good pay-per-view opener. Some of that stuff has changed, but there's still some good fights on here. First, we have Julian Robertson plus 120 versus Miranda Maverick minus 140. Real Mike, thoughts on not Randa Marcos, but the other girl that dyes her hair red.
Yeah, Jillian Robertson, her jujitsu is her best asset, and in this matchup, I think that she's going to have a little bit of size advantage for one of the first times ever versus Miranda Maverick. I think that that's going to play right into what she wants, and that's getting on the ground and possibly getting her a submission or just keeping control of the fight. I like. It's not that I don't like Miranda Maverick, and Miranda Maverick doesn't have a good game herself. It's that she's just a little bit smaller than you'd want to bet on in this situation, especially with the women on the side of MMA. I just think that Robertson's just a little too big in those grappling exchanges and wrestling. That size advantage and strength will pay off. Right now, it doesn't look like much on paper, but when they get onto the weigh-ins, I just really think that there's a much bigger size advantage on Jillian Roberts than it looks right now on paper. But I'm going to go with Jillian Roberts. I think she wins.
Yeah, stay on Julian Roberts, 7,700 on DraftKings, winning against Miranda Maverick, 8,500 on DraftKings. Jillian Roberts needs a few things to be successful. She needs an opponent who can't outstrike her. Maverick can. Robertson needs to have a clear grappling advantage. And while I do think she's definitely the better grappler, her wrestling isn't so overwhelming to get it there that I'll put money on it. Robertson's obviously a black belt. She's proven she can submit people, but she's also proven that it's not automatic for her to submit people. We've seen her get dominated on the ground against Santos. We've seen her in bad positions against other fighters. Basically what I'm getting at is she's not the female Damian Maia. And, Maverick's going to have just a clear advantage on the feet. She also has a wrestling game that can keep her out of some trouble. On the ground, she's not a slouch. I don't see Roberts submitting her from from any kind of position that isn't perfect. And I really don't see Robertson having a game that's strong enough to hold her down for the majority of this fight. So the way I see it really playing out is Maverick's going to beat up Robinson on the feet, and Robertson's going to have, she's panic wrestling, I guess is what I'm trying to get at. She's going to start getting touched up, and those shots are going to get sloppier and sloppier. And I just think she's going to get beat up during this fight. So for me, it's Maverick unanimous decision or late TKO.
My tendency on all of these fights, anything outside of the top 8 female MMA, I'm picking Robertson because she's the underdog. That's my breakdown.
Yeah, this is garbage. This is garbage MMA right here.
Next up, we have 2 fighters that I don't even know at all. I'm just being 100% honest. I'm always honest if I don't know fighters, and this is one of the rare exceptions where I don't know either. Gabe Green is minus 135 versus Philip Rowe, plus 115. Mikey Gills, give me some info because I straight got nothing.
I'm so glad Mikey Gills got it first because we're gonna be straight up honest here, okay? I do my homework and I do research and I know my shit about MMA, but these two motherfuckers, I don't know anything about these two motherfuckers. Kick it, Mikey.
Well, I just want to say thank you for the trust that you both are just hey, whatever. Anyway, start off with Gabe Green. He's 9-3, 3 knockouts, 6 subs, going for 8,000 on DraftKings. Lost his UFC debut to Danny Rodriguez back in May. Very important to know because it's going to come up in this review is that was a very short notice fight for him. But you saw a few things in that fight. Very good gas tank. He can take a punch. This guy can go all day. Also, like we just talked about it, 100% finishing rate. Love that. Going up against Philip Rowe, 7-2, 3 knockouts, 4 subs, 8,200 on DraftKings. Is making his UFC debut after winning on Dana White's Contender Series. Also 100% finishing rate. Problem with this guy, he's pretty hittable. You watch him fight, he's got a good reach, but he doesn't really use it that well. Imagine if John Jones just stood in the pocket the whole time or something like that. It's one of those type of deals. But, when this fight got released on DraftKings, I got excited because I saw Green at 8,000, and I thought it was Bobby Green. I actually texted, I think both of you, and talked about that. But I got a little cheered back up when I realized that it was actually this Green because, when I looked at it, I like his advantage in this fight. You hear me talk about it all the time. You should really try to get one of those $8,000 to $8,200 guys that can make or break your lineup. One of those valuable things in DraftKings, having a strong lean for either guy in that spot, which I do. Green has cardio for days. I'll try to wrap this one up quick. He's got cardio, more aggressive on the feet. I think he's the better striker of the two. On the ground, these guys are both going to go for submissions. I'll also take Green on that one. I'm not putting him in this lineup for our show, but I will tell you guys that are watching, I am going to put Green at 8,000 in a bunch of lineups this weekend, just not the actual show one.
Yeah, I'm just going to go with Green.
I'm literally not breaking down this fight. I'm not even going to give you guys the shred of confidence that I know what I'm talking about on this fight. So I'm not even going to pick one of them. That's how little I know about these fighters. I saw their pictures on Tapology, and I was like, it could have been a guy at the grocery store today. I got nothing. So I'm going to use my
training with
time.
Cowboy.
There you go. It doesn't do much because, I'm sorry, the BMF Ranch has not produced anybody other than Cowboy, and he built it. So
I'm just trying to help.
No, I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. So I'm going to use this time that I would to break down a fight to give a shout out to Mr. Ryan Richardson himself, Mr. Kick Your Bass. He's in the chat. He's the man. He basically bankrolls this whole thing. So
it's true.
Gotta give him a shine. Gotta give him a shine. And he deserves it way more than these people. So, but we're going to a great fight. The next fight is a legit great fight. 100% above board. Super pumped for this fight. I was mad that it fell through when it was going to happen earlier. We got Ricky Simon. He's minus 250 versus Brian Boom Boom Kelleher at plus 210. Real Mike, tell me about the mullet versus the follically challenged.
Yeah, this is going to be a really good fight. Ricky Simone, Simon, however you say it, I think that his wrestling is really, really fun to watch. His scrambling, the transitions, the output, the cardio, stuff like that is really quite amazing. But his number right now is a little steep for his striking. His striking is not all there, for the number that's represented. I wanted to say that Ricky Simon was going to come in here, be able to take down Brian Kelleher and just absolutely dominate him for 3 rounds, because that's what I really feel like should happen. But that's if Cody Stamann just didn't do that recently to Brian Kelleher recently. So I'm really wary of that now, because I feel like Brian's he's the type of guy to lose to Cody Stamann, who was a great wrestler, and improve his takedown defense so he could use his striking a little bit better. So if he does do that and implements that game plan, it will work very well for Ricky or for Brian versus Ricky. I'm going to pick Ricky here to win this fight because I love wrestling and jiu-jitsu and the cardio that Ricky puts out. I'm all about that. I think that that's what wins fight, kind of like Uzman and Colby and the likes. But don't get it twisted, man. If he can't get Brian down and keep him down, he's gonna be in route for a rude awakening on the feet. And so if you like Brian Kelleher, Brian, I would go TKO KO be a possibility, but I'm going with Ricky Simon.
Yeah, staying on Ricky Simone, he's 9,100 on DraftKings. Like, should be fresh and confident. Looked great in decision win just 3 weeks ago, going up against Kelleher at 7,100 on DraftKings. Looking to capitalize on a really strong 2020. Went 3-1 with 3 finishes. Only loss coming to the one that Mike just talked about, to Cody Stamann. Look, I want to pick Brian Kelleher. Like I do. But like I even wrote a little jingle about it that I wanted to sing, but like the better part of my brain's telling me I'm embarrassing myself enough already, so not going to do it. But Kelleher, he's not a bad fighter. He's dangerous off his back. He's got power in his hands. Like despite his record, there are a lot of things I like about him. But Simone is just so aggressive with his takedowns, and Kelleher is just so willing to accept them that I just see this fight turning into a rinse and repeat series of takedowns, positional battle, eventual stand up, and then right back again. So as for DraftKings, I do recommend Simone. Even at 9,100, he routinely scores over 100 points in decisions. I do have a slight worry that he could play it a little safer to avoid anything tricky from Kelleher, but I do expect a lot of takedowns, and with control time and enough strikes staying busy, the new scoring on DraftKings, you're seeing dominant grapplers start to score a little higher. So I'd recommend Simone. Even in this fight with a dangerous opponent, maybe a more dangerous opponent, I'd recommend him over Bilal Muhammad for $100 more. Just the way those two usually score out. So yeah, I like Simone in this fight.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, like you said, he's going to rinse, repeat, and take him down. There won't be any space in the small cage at the apex either. So I really think that Ricky's going to have the chance to just smother him.
Yeah.
He absolutely has the chance before he gets tired. Because he gets tired, and he also gets hit in the chin, and he goes in wild. And don't get me wrong, he's rightful favorite, absolutely rightful favorite. I do think this number is blown up a little bit because how dominant he looked in his last time out versus a nobody. And Kelleher is hard to back because he is the type of dude who will beat who he's not supposed to beat and lose to who he's not supposed to. And granted, he's supposed to lose to Ricky Simon. That's absolutely true. But I'm sorry, I would not be surprised if in the 3rd round Kelleher can touch Simon in a sub. or in the first round can land something super hard on Simone when he's on his way in and drops. Yes, I'm aware that I say his last name different every time. Go with it. It's a thing. So I would not put Simone. I'm just gonna go with Ricky.
I hate
how about Simon the Sea Monster? That's a name. You can mark
the hardest part is if, yes, this is going to go reference to the fact that I have children. If you've seen Chipmunks Chipwrecked, Simon becomes infected with a strange venom from a spider, and he turns French, and he calls himself Simone, and then it's wonderful. But so it keeps going back and forth in my head. I apologize. I hear it different all the time. But I would not trust him with my money. He should win, but I wouldn't be surprised on Brian Kelleher. I want to bet Brian Kelleher because he's a dog and he's going to fight for that money, but there's a very big chance that he looks just awful. Obviously, we got a little bit of backlog here, so I want to say everyone, thank you to some people that are hopping in here. Thank you for Mel_M8 or mate from there down under. Thank you for hopping in. Lynn0129 has hopped in. Thank you, Johnny B, for your award. Thank you, Mel. I didn't even realize you gave some. Thank you so much. That wasn't because of that. I had to scroll back through the chat. Thank you to the nearly 800 people here watching us live already. Why you want to listen to us three idiots, I don't know, but we're moving on. Next up is a fight that's a little bit of a dip, but it should be relatively fun to watch. Polyana Viana plus 135 versus Mallory Martin minus 155. Mikey Gills, thoughts on this?
All right, so start off with Polyana Viana. She's going off on 7,600 on DraftKings. Lost 3 straight before beating Emily Whitmire, like the notorious Emily Whitmire back in August, going up against Mallory Martin, 8,600 on DraftKings. Thrown a really tough debut against Verna Jandaroba, bouncing back, beat Hannah Cyphers. Everyone beats Hannah Cyphers, whatever, it doesn't matter. The thing about this fight is neither one of these girls can punch their way out of a paper bag. This fight's going to be decided by who has the better wrestling, and that's Mallory Martin. And if you're familiar with Viana, you're probably like, but Mike, she has 7 submission wins. She submits everybody. I don't care. Look who she submitted. Absolute cans, just from top to bottom. She herself tapped to an armbar a year ago. She isn't this amazing grappling wizard that her record says she is. Yes, Mallory Martin does have a recent submission loss, but it was in her UFC debut against Verna, like we just said. Verna is better than any 2 of Viana's opponents combined, really. Don't get cute with this pick. It's $8,600. Martin should be a safe mid-range play, but, do beware about this. Martin is not a finishing machine by any stretch, and Viana, for all the stuff I've just talked about her, she is hard to finish. It's only happened once in her career. So, again, mid-range safety pick. Martin, go for it, but don't expect any crazy high score.
Yeah, Mike, you pretty much nailed it. Both these girls striking absolutely sucks. Martin's wrestling and jiu-jitsu is a little bit superior than Polyana. I feel like in the smaller cage that the wrestling is going to hit the ground anyways. So Martin's going to be my pick for this one. I think a 3-round decision.
There's sometimes that one single thing happens to you as a fighter that makes me never able to back you, just period. And the fact that Mallory Martin got knocked down to the floor and almost nearly finished by Hannah Cyphers, I'm out. I'm out. So I'm going to go with Viana. I know it's a dumb little thing, but there's just certain things that I see happens in certain fighters. I could never back you ever, even if you end up proving me wrong. I can't do it. And so there's no bet involved.
Yeah, again, don't bet this.
This is lower tier female MMA. So again, going with my rule, Viana plus 135. Love it. It's okay. This next fight, I was beyond upset when this got canceled because I had a good take on it when it was originally put out there. But the prices ballooned up, and then they had to push it because one of the people got COVID, and then now they're coming again. And then the opener was where the other one ended at, which is a little bit rough. Diego Lima. No, not Douglas. Know that. This we almost need to change this to the Lima brother rule. This is definitely Lima light. This is Diego Lima. They're definitely not better brother. Plus 325 versus Bilal Muhammad minus 400. Real Mike, talk to me about Remember the Name versus the lesser Lima.
Yeah, Douglas Lima I like a lot. Diego Lima, not quite so much. I think that the Bilal Muhammad is the favorite for a reason. I think that his heart, his cardio, his output. He's been in there with some wars with some of the better fighters in the UFC. Lima's. It's not that he's bad. He's that bad. It's just he's just kind of blah and there, he's supposed to be really good at striking, he's kind of iffy there. And then on the ground, you can't really trust him that much there as well. So I can't pick. Obviously, I'm not going to pick Lima. I'm going to go with Bilal Muhammad to win and quite easily.
Yeah, so start off with Lima. He's going for 7,000 on DraftKings. Muhammad's going for 9,200. With this fight, like the game plan on how to beat Lima is already out there, and the thing about that is like Bilal Muhammad could have written the game plan himself. So, like my issue for this fight really is just when it comes to DraftKings, it's like Bilal Muhammad, he hasn't broken the 100-point barrier since 2016 against Augusto Montano in the last fight of Augusto's career. So, the flip side of that coin is that when Lima loses, he does like actually to put on a show. I'm looking at it right now. Like 5 of his 6 losses have been by stoppage. Like, yeah, I don't really see too much of a hope for Lima in this fight. He's going to get out grappled. He's going to be on his back, and I just don't see this fight going his way at all. For $9,200 though, you really should go in expecting 100 points or more on DraftKings. Do I see it? I don't know. Lima's a vet. He's tricky enough to maybe keep himself safe. And who knows? Muhammad, he might just figure that he knows the decisions in the bag and opt just not to push for it. But at the end of the day, I do think this is a good safe spot for Muhammad. But at the same time, in this price range, I do like Ricky Simone a little better for $100 less.
My roughest thing with this is in the first time this was going to happen, I had this thought of the fact that Diego Lima, he's not cast iron. It's not that he's soft. It's just the fact that he can get put down and he can get bullied and he can gather damage over the course of the fight, gets tired, all of those things. And Bilal Muhammad pushes and he pushes and he pushes more and he beats you up and he goes for it. How many fights he's had starts to get worrisome for me, because obviously he's taken a ton of damage. So I was trying to lean in and think, oh, hey, maybe inside the distance, because it's plus 295, and that's obviously way better than the minus 400. But minus 400 is so steep, but he should absolutely win. He absolutely should. So if you have a specific prop take on this, it's like, go for it, because I'm sorry, I don't think Lima has like the one-stop power just to come out of nowhere and just smack him and put him out. I do think he'll be able to put him against the cage and bully him and beat him up, take him down, and just do a flawless game plan. Will he get a finish? I hope so. The plus 295, I'm not sure I'm going to get, but could definitely be very low. Like I agree with Mike Gills. It's gonna be a very low scoring fight. Has a tendency to be, but it's gonna be a lot of cage control and Bilal Muhammad just basically doing whatever he wants to the lesser Lima that no one's ever been super high on except his much, much better, more handsome championship caliber brother. There, I said it. Speaking of way more handsome, talented champion, Rodolfo Vieira minus 390 versus Anthony Hernandez plus 320. Mikey Gills, thoughts on the clean, wink, wink, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion?
All right, so yeah, start off with Rodolfo Vieira, 7-0, 1 knockout, 6 subs, going for 9,300 on DraftKings. He's the alpha dog on the slate, very expensive. 2-0 in the UFC, 2 arm triangle finishes, going up against Fluffy Hernandez, 7-2, 1 knockout, 5 subs, 6,900. It's like, oh, you fancy yourself a grappler too? We're gonna find out. You look at Fluffy, like he's lost 2 of his last 3, and one important that I have to highlight for this is a submission loss to Marcus Perez just back in 2019. Like, I was shocked when I was looking at these two. Like, they don't even look like they're in the same weight class. Like, it's kind of nuts. Like, it reminded me of watching, like, you guys remember that show Oz from HBO?
Yes.
Like remember they had that boxing tournament and like skinny ass Cyril O'Reilly was fighting Chucky Pancamo?
Yes, I do.
Like seriously, Fluffy, you better like put some like chloral hydrate in Vieira's drink if he wants to win this. Like, that's
I was gonna say, are you gonna bring up that they put stuff in his water?
It was chloral hydrate is exactly what it was.
Touche on that one.
I don't know why it's still in here. I have no idea. I can't do math.
It's for Jeopardy one day.
Yeah, but no, Fluffy doesn't have a bad ground game, but his confidence might actually be a negative in this fight against Vieira. So easy pick, nothing crazy. Vieira's worth every shot. Top of the slate, 93 on DraftKings, or I wrote it down differently on each one. It's either 93 or 94. It doesn't matter. Pay it.
Yeah, I mean, on this one, I automatically felt like, oh man, Vieira is going to win this thing by submission, easy. But that's normally not how things usually are. What I'm worried about is that Hernandez, he was at a pick'em with Kevin Holland not long ago. The fact that he was a pick'em versus Kevin Holland, a guy that is so highly thought of right now, It seems weird to me because Matthew Holt on the Die Hard MMA podcast, he brought up, he said it just seems weird that if you put Vieira versus Kevin Holland right now, you wouldn't have the line where it is right now, but you had Anthony Hernandez at a near pick'em versus Kevin Holland, so it just, I mean, if Hernandez can keep this thing off the ground, which is a huge if, he can really damage Vieira's face and end up winning this fight and shocking a lot of people. But I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. I love wrestling, and I think Vieira's jiu-jitsu is that good that if this kid gets on the ground with him, that he's going to be absolutely fucked. So I'm going to go Vieira by submission. But don't be surprised, like I said, if somehow Vieira gets clipped by something standing, because he is not all that on the feet and not even close.
I like going out and supporting the roided out Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champion. It's just it's this quirk I got. I don't know. It's just like it just hits me just right. In terms of like how the odds have been and stuff like that. No, like against Kevin Holland would be different. But in the interim from fighting Hernandez, Kevin Holland did what he did to like some of the bigger names in the division. Hello, dude, we got Pablo back. Sorry. Hey, Pablo. He just hopped in from Los Angeles. He's one of the men that has helped us so much from the Habs team in the early goings, getting this whole thing going. Much appreciated. Very much. Wow. Okay. Sorry. I divulged. It's not even the appropriate term, but I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to power through. I'm going to power through so no one notices, but because I'm lingering, people will notice. But I'm going to go with Rodolfo. I do think the odds are a bit skewed. Absolutely. And I do think that like right now, him by submission specifically, I think is minus 175, which is stupid. That's ridiculous.
That's dumb.
I do think he has the opportunity to get it against the cage, land a trip, and have control for majority of the fight. If the sub is there, the sub is there. But more than anything, I think he's going to win. I wouldn't pay the minus 390, but I would love to see a highlight reel finish here. I hope it happens, but I could definitely see this being on the lower end for scoring for DraftKings unless he gets that finish. And there definitely is a spot there for the finish. And again, you got to go with the roided up Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu champions.
We're like getting that finish.
He grabs the arm, like the stuff going through his veins, make bones pop out. It's science. Like there's just no way around it. We're going to stick with the science kick because someone fighting in the next event just defies all science. And it's not the first person I'm talking about, it's the second person. Bobby Green is minus 260 against Jim Miller plus 220. Yes, Jim Miller is still in the UFC. Mm-hmm. That's an actual thing that is happening. Real Mike, thoughts on Bobby Green versus Real Mike? Yes, man, I said Bobby Green versus Real Mike because it's Bobby Green and Bobby Green. I said it.
No worries. I mean, it pretty much can be. I feel like I just talked about this guy last week because Michael Johnson, Bobby Green are like the same dude. You can't trust them. You don't ever trust them with those big numbers, and it's really weird. Jim Miller, man, OG of the sport, been around forever, but obviously, he's declining. He's getting old. I don't know, man. I felt that way about Guida. So I would never ever pay the money for Green. I'm not going to. Okay, so I would say dog or pass if you're gonna do this, but it's just like, man, does Jim Miller have anything at all compared to what Guida gave us? And I mean, man, he took Pichel's punches, and Pichel from my hometown punches really hard, and so I want to say that Jim Miller can somehow miracle pull this off, and I would absolutely love it. So I'm gonna go Jim Miller.
All right, start off with Bobby Green here, 8,900 on DraftKings. Won an absolute roll in 2020 until he came into that last fight against Thiago Moises. Looked a little tentative, not being aggressive like he had been in his previous 3 fights. And this next thing, I just have to point it out because I love saying it, and it's actually germane to this fight. He has not been submitted since 2009 to upgrade Dan Lozon. Sorry, I just had to throw that out there. Shout out to the Tap Out Show. Going up against Jim Miller, 7,300 on DraftKings. Do you guys want to hear a fun fact? That everybody loves fun. Sure. Jim Miller has not won a decision since 2016, and that was against the absolute corpses of Thiago Alves and Joe Lozon. Do you guys want to hear another fun fact? Nobody?
Sure.
Nope. All right, cool. Thank you. I need something.
Bobby Green lost a round to to Clay Guida.
That is not my fun fact. That is not my fun fact. My fun fact is that Bobby Green pretty much only wins by decision. Like, sometimes he fights well below his capabilities. Sometimes the judges decide they hate him. But like it or not, Bobby Green's style was built from the ground up to beat Jim Miller. Green is hard to take down. He's got very good cardio. He's fast, accurate punches. Jim Miller is not who he used to be. Ever since that Lyme disease kicked in, his cardio has just not been there. Like, it reminds me of like when Mike Swick had like those esophageal ulcers or whatever the hell he had. And like he had to change his diet up, his entire physicality changed with it, and he was just never the same guy anymore. Like, and I guess pretty much when anybody becomes a vegan, like, sorry vegans, don't come after me, I know you guys are a cult. Anyway, like, but for real, like, Bobby Green, like, he's built perfectly to beat Jim Miller's style. I think Miller comes out hard like he always does. He sells out for takedowns, and at some point near the end of the first or the beginning of the second, you're going to see that shift take over, and Bobby Green takes it on the feet. So Bobby Green, highly recommend him, highly. And Bob, you said something to me on Twitter. Maybe you didn't believe in him. Is that a thing? I don't know.
No, I don't. Yeah. I my entire premise on everything is Bobby Green gonna Bobby Green? And yeah, he wins decisions. He also loses decisions because he gives fights away. That's a real thing that he does. And I'm sorry, like, yeah, Jim Miller's not what he once was. He absolutely, but he's good once as he ever was. No, we're not gonna go that route.
Yes,
Bobby Green, absolutely. He has every skill to win this fight. He absolutely does. But he has the skills to win the utter vast majority of his fights, and he tends not to. Yes, he was on a bit of a streak, but he still has the same stuff there where he thinks defense is its own reward. And by that, I don't mean like, oh, he's not getting hit. I mean, like, he feels, I said that kind of wrong. He feels like he's getting points for dodging strikes. He's getting points for slipping punches. He's getting points for dodging 2, throwing 1. But the judges don't see that in MMA. They just see someone throwing shots at you. And it really depends how the early goings of this fight go. I think Jim Miller's a bit live here, just at this price. I'm not going to pay him right now because there is just so many of those possibilities. Like the Lyme disease thing is scary. Like, I heard an interview with him that when it's really, really bad, he has to use the banister to go up and down stairs, and every step is agony. He'll get a twitch that lasts for days. Like, when it's bad, it's bad. He's taking medication, so I don't know what the weight cut does to that. If Jim Miller is 85%, he is very live in this fight. I just don't know if he's 85%. So I'm going to pick Jim Miller based off nostalgia, but no bet on this one thus far because there's too many things that scare me away from it, and I've been burned Bobby Green plenty of times, so that's why I'm moving on. Next up, we have Julian Marquez, -165 versus Coconut Bombs himself, Mackie Patolo, +145. Mikey Gill's Coconut Bombs.
All right, we'll get to him in 1 second. Start with Marquez going at 8,700 on DraftKings, 7-2, 5 knockouts, 2 subs, 100% finishing rate. Do like that. Then got Coconut Bombs. Patolo is 7,500 on DraftKings. Lost his last 2 and 3 of his last 4, and he also has an earlier career loss to Dakota Cochran. I just like mentioning that. If you know, you know.
Deep something. Keep going.
Anyway, when I'm watching this fight, like tape on this fight, like, I have no earthly idea like why Julian Marquez or what he's done in his career to be an $8,700 favorite on DraftKings. He's 7-2. He hasn't fought since 2018. He hasn't won a fight since 2017, and he's coming off a pretty major injury to his back with some bad complications after the surgery. Like, I think this price fund here has more to do with Patolo's recent losses than it does with Marquez's overall skill set. Talking about Marquez, like, he's just so damn hittable. Like, I don't feel comfortable putting my money on guys who use the Homer Simpson defense. Like I can't lie. There are a few things to worry about this fight. He can crack. Like, Mackey's proven to be kind of crackable. Like, with his layoff and Mackey's activity combined with his improvement, like in his striking, like I see ways for Mackey to win this fight. Like, yeah, he's lost 3 out of his last 4, but you watch him punch. He punches in combinations. He keeps his hands up. Started throwing kicks recently. Like, he's mixing things up pretty well. Like, it's just a matter of putting it all together on fight night. And for $7,500 on DraftKings, you need underdogs that you think can win with path to victory. I'd rather bet for $7,500 on the guy who is there getting better versus the guy who wasn't really all that great before the layoff and hasn't shown me anything to make a believer. So for our lineup this weekend, I like Mackie Patolo. And for $7,500 on there, I see a path to victory for him, and I'm going to play him.
Dare you say what I'm thinking. Go ahead, real Mike.
Yeah, we love the Hawaiians over here on the MMA for Money show. Maki Patola, it's no different. So I'm going to be rolling with Maki too. I think that he is more athletic and he is meaner and he's tougher and he's got a higher ceiling. He's continuing to learn. He's been thrown in there for some tough fights, and Marquez to me isn't that tough. So I think that Marquez is super hittable, like you said. And I just think this is a spot where Maki can actually win here. So I'm going to go with Maki Patola to win.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to add a third on that, mainly because I just think this is going to be, for every old school MMA fan, a slobber knocker of a fight. I just really think it's going to happen, and both guys can crack. Obviously, Patola can get put out, but he throws with power. And if you have two guys that are going to throw and you're just hoping whoever lands first, you want to go with the underdog on that. So I'll go with Patola. Quick thanks, Pablo. I mean, we shouted you out, but thank you for the Appreciate You Award. And then Mr. Prime himself, Jason throwing in the Great Reporting Award. Really appreciate that. Everyone there, all about 1.1K of you people watching live right now. Again, don't get it, but hey, appreciate it. Next up, we have one of the biggest headed bantamweights you will ever see. Andre Ewell, plus 125, versus Chris Gutierrez, minus 155. Real Mike, talk to me about this fight.
Yeah, me and Bob spoke. This was one of the first fights that immediately we agreed on. We liked Chris Gutierrez. I think that Chris Gutierrez striking, he's got some really good leg kicks, and they're very, very strong. Andre Ewell stands very heavy on his front lead leg, super, super skinny chicken legs. I've talked about them before on the podcast. People like that. Once you get hit, especially on that lower outside calf or anywhere on that thigh, it just your leg reacts differently, and the movement that Ewell relies on, I feel like isn't going to be there in a smaller cage. I feel like Gutierrez is just all around better mixed martial artist, even on the ground and jiu-jitsu wise. Andre Ewell's definitely, he's got some decent striking, got a nice left hand, but he's got terrible cardio, and he's just not that guy. So we're going to be betting Chris Gutierrez ×2 on this. What's the Bob's at, Bob?
It's at minus 155, so that'll be 3.1 to win you guys too.
So we really like Chris Gutierrez, as you see in the spot, and so I'll let Bob finish off his feelings on it, and then we'll let Mikey hit it.
Yeah, well, just kind of echoing that, most of those statements a lot, and there is this weird, I don't know if it's a mental thing, certain fighters have it, Ewell kind of has it, where he likes to lose in the third round, or late in the second, but he likes to lose in the third round. And Gutierrez has finished people in the third round. And the weird thing, when those things match up, those are the few times you can get some of those crazy props. I'm not going to give you guys a crazy prop because Gutierrez, I'm actually surprised by these odds. And that's why I like it so much at minus 155. I'm kind of shocked. I thought this was going to be much higher than that and be too steep for me to play. So the fact that it's minus 155, I am all for. Obviously, getting in on that reach is going to be difficult. So luckily, Ewell doesn't check kicks. And at some point he gets tired and more easily taken down. And when he's taken down, Gutierrez will be able to go to work on him. So it might be an iffy first round, depending. He has to put in that groundwork early, keeping him at bay with the leg kicks. And then when he does come in, be willing to throw. But I really like Gutierrez here. And since we both like it so much, and way more than anything on here, especially with some fights that we've lost on this fight card, Pedro Munoz. Sorry. Yeah, I'm all for Chris Gutierrez. So yes, that's Chris Gutierrez minus 155 to win you guys 2 units. Mikey Gills, feel free to dump all over it.
I don't know. I'm not going to go against you guys this week. I honestly don't know what I could add to what you guys just said. Chris Gutierrez, I heard about this fight like as I was leaving work. I haven't had a chance to watch tape, but he would be my initial lean regardless. So yeah, whatever you guys just said. There's no DraftKings prices yet. You can follow me on Twitter at Mikey Gills with a Z. I'll let you guys know how I feel about it once that comes out and where he stacks up with our lineup.
Sorry, I know we've been trying to finish by 1 hour. It still hasn't worked out yet, but you know what? Apparently 1,400 of you are okay with that. So
yeah,
we
just keep talking. Mikey's like, it's going to be a short show. I'm like, yeah, bro.
Well, it was going to be, but then we decided to go a little bit deeper on Ovarian, which I think you have to sometimes. Next up is someone that I have never been more roller coaster up and down with a fighter than I have been with Kelvin Gastelum. Kelvin Gastelum is minus 230 versus Ian Heinisch, Mikey Gills,
Man.
talk to me about this fight while I try to calm down and don't just start yelling at Kelvin Gastelum. First of all, that's not how you spell that name. Sorry.
Kelvin Gastelum, 8,800 on DraftKings, at a real crossroads in his career. He's lost 3 straight, but all the top guys, to be fair to him. The other side of that coin is his last 5 wins were all against aging vets on their way out the door. But, I mean, he's only 29 years old. He's a real solid wrestle boxer. Cardio's for days. He just needs that right win against a contender, getting him back in there into that upper echelon discussion. Ian Heinisch, he might be a great start to that. Heinisch going 7,400 on DraftKings, lost 2 of his last 3, coming off a get-right fight of his own against Gerald Mearshart. So, to quote the great Ja Rule in the greatest movie ever made, Fast and the Furious, we all knows a few things. And one of the things we knows, that's Ian Heinisch. What do we know about him? We know he can't hang with guys like Derek Brunson. We know he can't hang with guys like Amari Akhmedov. Combine those fighters, and we might start to get something like a Kelvin Gatt. We also know that he hasn't shown, or that he's shown pretty significant cardio issues. Like, you slide over to Gastelum, like, he can strike with anybody. He's taken the heads off former champions. He's gone 5 rounds with arguably the best striker in the sport. He doesn't slow down. He can go all day. Like, my old joke about him, I used to argue on Facebook. I used to call him Kelvin Gas Tank. Like, it's really stupid, I admit it, but like, whatever. I stand by everything I've ever said on the internet ever. Don't check my MySpace wall. Anyway, I think we've seen that Gastelum is just an inch shy of that upper echelon. He's still got all the tools to mop up guys below that level. Heinisch is coming along, striking's getting better, but he's 32, and I think we've seen an approximation of where his ceiling is, and I think Gastelum works him over pretty good here. So 8,800 on DraftKings, probably worth it based on his average points.
Yeah, I mean, if Kelvin Gastelum cannot win this fight, I mean, it's really fucking sad. I mean, he's literally went rounds with Adesanya, the best striker there is in the UFC, and didn't die. So I really can't believe the skills that Kelvin Gastelum possesses, but he just never comes to fruition. I don't know if it's because he's just an awkward body size and he just happened to be in between weight classes anyways. But it just seems like Kelvin Gastelum just never quite fits in a role. His wrestling is amazing. He's got really good cardio. He's got really good striking. Ian Heinisch, on the other hand, he's a very strong guy. He's very brute-like when he strikes, so he throws with a lot of power. It uses a lot of energy, and so his cardio it lacks at that. I just don't think that Ian Heinisch, even though I do like him and his story and everything, I just don't think he has it to beat a guy like Kelvin Gastelum. And if Kelvin Gastelum can't finish a guy like Heinisch, I mean, he needs to hang it up.
Completely agree. I don't know. I get soured on Gastelum because he has an amazing performance. So I bring his ceiling way up. And then he gets finished by Chris Weidman. So then I bring him way down. I'm not Chris Weidman.
Yeah.
Now, if you can't see, I'm pointing directly down, indicating that I'm talking about the present time.
Chris Oldman.
Yeah, with that salt and pepper he's got going on, it's severe. Thank you, Mr. Prime himself, for the God Jokes Award. We appreciate that. We try to bring some levity. And we're mid breakdown, but thank you. We're at 1,600 people watching live right now, which that's never happened other than our special Sunday edition, which we had some help with. So this is kind of a little bewildered at the moment, but I'm going to bring it back to fighting, I promise.
I love you guys, everyone.
I'm going to bring it back. I swear I'm going to bring it back to fighting. Kelvin Gastelum, he loses when he has someone that is a more nuanced striker than him, because at the end of the day, even though he can throw some pretty solid kicks, he's a boxer. So a more nuanced striker can beat him. That's not Ian Heinisch. A stronger, bigger wrestler can beat him. That's what Chris Weidman showed, and a few other people. That's not Ian Heinisch. So he should absolutely destroy Ian Heinisch. And if he doesn't, I'm just done with him. I'm borderline done with him now. But it's his last chance to be like, I'm still really good, you guys. I'm elite. I could actually fight for the championship. I don't care how close you get it to close of a fight you get with the champion. It could have been his best night ever. And I want him to have more of those because he has the skill. But sorry, if you're ever wondering why we're trying to cut it at about an hour, there's a chance for some technical difficulties. That was my own personal technical difficulties. We can get some technical difficulties once we break the hour mark. We seem to be doing good now, and we're to the co-main event. That's perfect. Well, it's a co-main event. It's not the co-main event. It's just a co-main event that it's a co-main event on a pay-per-view. So we're going to talk about
It's the second to last fight.
It's the second. There you go. It's the second to last fight. I would rather have Kamara versus Gilbert and Usman versus Burns as the co-main event, main event. But we're working with what we got. Macy Barber, fresh off her humiliating defeat against Roxanne Modafferi, is plus 120. Sorry, that was my own little personal thing there. Versus Alexa Grasso, minus 140. Real Mike talked to me about Macy Barber versus Alexa Grasso.
Yeah, this fight, I mean, definitely this shit doesn't deserve to be a co-main event, but at least for a women's MMA fight, this will actually be something worthwhile to watch. Macy Barber, I'll start off with her. Super young. She's just barely gotten in the sport. She's learning a lot each and every month and each and every year. Her jiu-jitsu's, getting there. Her striking is pretty good. I see what they see in her for the future, but like right now, man, I mean, I've been high on Grasso and I'm blanking on the top of my head who the other Hispanic chick was. Either way, but I've been high on Grasso since she came to the UFC. Her boxing is really, really sharp. She just disappointing, every once in a while. I don't know if it's just the lack of being a killer in her. But I mean, to me, Grasso's got better hands than Macy Barber. I feel like she's got better kicks. I feel like she's been there with better opponents. But this is just a tough one, man. If Grasso really wants to win this fight, I feel like Grasso can win this fight. But I know that Macy Barber has made a few moves. She was training with Julian Pena. She's just getting a lot better, at least with the groundwork when that comes to that. But I still feel like Macy Barber's striking is not there. If you could lose to Roxanne Modafferi, I feel like that Alexa Grasso can really can win here. I was thinking about making it a bet, but I didn't want to give any shit show picks. So I'm gonna just pick with Grasso to win this fight if she wants to, and we'll see.
Macy Barber tore ACL in that fight. Let's stop pretending that Roxanne Modafferi just beat her ass. What are we talking about here?
I don't know, bro.
My bank account says that Roxanne Modafferi beat her ass.
All that we know is we won. That's what happened.
God damn it. All right. Anyway, Macy Barber, 7,900 on DraftKings, coming off the torn ACL loss to Roxanne. Apparently, that vaults you in his co-main event status, though. Going up against Alexa Grasso, 8,300 on DraftKings, been alternating wins and losses since 2016. Apparently, that also vaults you into co-main event status. So I have a conspiracy theory about this fight, and we need to get into this. I've said it on Twitter. Some of you might have already seen it, but I think that in the immediate wake of the Stephen A. Smith controversy about women in the sport, the UFC saw an opportunity for some cheap PR, threw this in as the co-main. I really don't see any other reason for that. Part two of the conspiracy theory is that the UFC actually wants Macy Barber showcased in a get-right fight. They obviously threw her in there against Roxanne Modafferi to win. I don't want to hear an argument. They threw her in there to win. And they're going to use the limited shine from the Stephen A. Smith controversy to showcase an attractive, very violent girl to the audience. Like, when you look at these two and their styles, like Barber's, to me, it's just going to be more effective. She's that pressure-heavy fighter. She throws bombs. They're in a smaller cage. She's going to keep Grasso backing up most of this fight. And, like, Barber's definitely more of a striker than a wrestler, but we have seen her take down several opponents and just rain hell from top. Grasso's going to need to have that perfect fight, that perfect Bisping style fight, volume, straight punches, just to keep Barber off of her 3 rounds. I just don't know if I see that happening. Like, my only real fear in this fight for Barber is that ACL injury, and like, how far along is she in her recovery? Like, it's been a year, but I have to think she's mostly healed up by now, and if she is healthy, I think this is her fight to lose. Like, she's an underdog money on DraftKings. She's true finisher. She's finished all but one fight in her career, and only one loss comes after that blown ACL in the first. I'm big on Barber here as an underdog, $7,900. Let's go. I don't know why I did that. So.
You got real high. Like, that's real high.
We would never get so excited about Macy Barber.
It's okay. I'm gonna get real low. I'm gonna get real low to balance it out. Quickly. Irene Aldana is the other Mexican female fighter that you liked.
Yeah,
Real Mike.
I thought about it after the fact, but it doesn't matter.
I remember her last name. I was like, I want to get her first name right.
I was like, don't even know the girls I like. Yeah, okay. Irene Aldana and Grasso, I like them.
Well, it was actually funny because Grasso, when she first came in, she was the much better prospect, and Aldana was kind of like not doing so hot, and they've kind of it's kind of tipped the scale somewhat in terms of like Aldana. I do think more upside. In terms of a Barber, obviously yes, she lost because she had a blown ACL. It was fairly close before that, in my opinion, only because the main reason I went with Modafferi in that one is just it was the biggest veteran she's ever fought. So it's a well-rounded fighter. And I'm not saying Alexa Grasso is the most well-rounded fighter. I'm just saying Macy Barber just had an ACL tear. She's been off for over a year. We're going to be at 13 months since she fought. And what we're not taking into account is it's her first loss. How does she come back from that mentally? Will she go forward? Will she fight? Will she be the bruiser she's always been? Her confidence for the first time has had a major hiccup. And Alexa Grasso, her striking isn't phenomenal. It's actually fairly rote. Like she throws very similar combinations over and over again. And if she executes those combinations, she thinks she wins, even if she loses. I like Grasso because of the layoff, the ACL tear, and the shaken confidence that could be there. There's a lot of like X factors here. Like if this fight was made before the Roxanne Modafferi fight, Macy Barber would be a minus 250 favorite right now. So I like Grasso here. If it was a little bit closer in odds, I'd probably throw a little something there. And even her, me and Real Mike were looking to try to play Grasso made by decision because that's how she's going to win. But it's minus 105. It's not really worth it given these odds. But there you go. We talked about the main event. Everybody do a deep breath, deep cleansing breath. You do in with the good, out with the bad. In with the Uzman, out with the Barber. In with the Burns, out with the Grasso. We're here. We're to the main event of UFC 258. Kamara Uzman minus 280 versus Gilbert Burns plus 240. Mikey Gills, are you an us man? Are you a part of the brigade?
All right, well, we'll find out. Let's start off with Uzman. It's actually a trickier answer than you think. Uzman at 9,000. What do you want to say about him? He's the champ, undefeated since his second pro fight. Burns 7,200 on DraftKings, just looking amazing lately. Right away, I have to do this in a certain order. Right away, my pick is Kamara Uzman, and I have to tell you that right away so I can explain like the next thing that I'm about to say. Like, this is rare. I almost never do it, but I am going to be playing both Kamara Uzman and Gilbert Burns this week, and I highly recommend that you do as well. Here's why. Start off with Uzman. He is the definition of a DraftKings all-star. He is on the Mount Rushmore right next to like Colby Covington, Alexander Romanov, Merab Davasheli, probably some fighters who would also hypothetically be great scorers like Jay Kalina or Rocky or I don't know, Jake Gyllenhaal in that Southpaw movie when he's actually right-handed. It didn't make any sense. Anyway, all of those. Uzman's a motherfucker on DraftKings. Like in eight of 9 of his last fights, he's gone over 100 points. In 5 of them, he's gone above 125, and he damn near hit 200 points against RDA. Like, I think he's going to win this fight by decision. I have my reasons. Bob, Mike, you guys can go into all the hows and whys. I'm spending this time to explain DraftKings. So on the other side, we have Gilbert Burns. And like, I almost never tell you guys to stack fighters, but this is the time. The conditions are perfect. Like if it were a storm, George Clooney and Mark Wahlberg are dead. Like that's how perfect this is. Like in Gilbert's last 9 fights, he's gone over 100 points 6 times. All but one of those being 3 rounds. He's got 5 now. I do not believe Uzman is going to put Burns away. I think this is going to be a competitive fight. I think Burns has quick hands, power, the grappling to keep Uzman honest and standing. We're going to score some more points up there. I can see potential like Cormier Stipe 2 points. Like even in a loss, Burns is in a hella position to have a high floor score. So for 7,200 from my cold dead hands, you will take this pick from me. Sorry, I can breathe now.
It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, on this fight, this is going to be a great fight, man. I mean, the jiu-jitsu of Burns and the wrestling of Uzman is going to be something else. The thing that separates it to me is that I just feel like Uzman has done it, so many times that he's proved 5 rounds plus for me. He's stood and struck with some of the best fighters there have been. As much as I love Burns and I love the story and I want to jump on the Burns bandwagon, Burns was super hittable and has been. He's not the best striker and still definitely working on that. And he definitely throws. He doesn't have like a left hook or he's not very diverse standing. So I really think that this is going to be a really weird fight, but I think that Uzman is the one with the 5 rounds of cardio. The Uzman's the one who's proved me standing up and wrestling. So I'm going to have to side with Uzman on this one and say and still.
Dramatic pause. I realized like if people listen to audio, it's like, what is he doing? Yeah, hey, people watching video. all 1,700 of you. You're probably the same thing. Why is he pausing? But you know what? Sometimes you just got to do a dramatic pause, because I've seen a lot of people going for Gilbert Burns here, which has kind of confused me a little bit. Like, to me, this is very straightforward. He won't be able to get his jiu-jitsu going because Kamara Uzman doesn't get taken down. He goes to the ground when he wants to. Second, as much as Gilbert Burns has improved his striking, and he absolutely has, he is in the in the Henry Hoof striking. There's a maturation process. It's learning how to strike. That's number one. Then your offensive striking grows by leaps and bounds. And it takes a long time for your defense to come at it. Gilbert Burns isn't there defensively. Like, he was able to go absolutely ham at aged Damon Maia, because he wasn't scared to go on the ground with him. So he knew he was the better striker. And when you know you're the better striker and you're not going to have to go to the ground with someone who that's his only chance of beating you, you go for broke. Gilbert Burns has basically gotten the title shot off beating guys that Kamara Uzman already beat. Yep. Burns used the exact game plans, obviously fitted to his skill set, on said guys. And he had quite a year and was going to go for the title shot, and it got delayed, but we're still getting it. But you have him still at the same camp, learning from the same people. And that's why he still thinks he can beat Kamara, who he used to train with. But Kamara was with Trevor Whitman, learning the skills that tamed Justin Gaethje. It's like he's going to go in there and he is going to have a very striking style. He's going to be able to stay on the feet when he needs to. He's going to be able to throw. And I'm sorry, this is a big rapid, because this is a huge favorite. Obviously, I shouldn't have to overly explain myself to pick a huge favorite, but I've just seen so many people on the Burns side, and this makes no sense to me. I would just pray that Usman was a not so big a favorite so I could find a way to bet him. Like, other than a parlay piece, and I think he's a fairly safe parlay piece, unless you just have some insider info that I just strictly do not know. I think Kamara Usman, this is a borderline, not a cakewalk, but it's going to be very controlled, and he's going to just put it on Burns. That's how I see it. I said he's going to beat him, and would go more into it, but I'm going to start repeating myself at this point, which we don't need to do. So before we start bidding adieu to all you fine people, all you amazing people that watch us live and will listen later on audio and will catch the replays of the video later, again, Matt, we are just beside ourselves with how many people are watching us right now. That's insane. Anything from you, Real Mike, and then Mike Gills will go with you. No, I forgot something. I forgot two things. What am I doing? I'm so beside myself. I forgot two things. The first thing, I need to review our bet for this. We have one unit on, not one unit, to win 2 units on Chris Gutierrez minus 155. And I'm sorry, I almost completely ruined everything for everybody. I forgot to give Mikey Gills his DraftKings breakdown. Mikey Gills, give me your DraftKings breakdown.
I'm going to save you guys some time. I'm playing Julian Marquez 6 straight times this week. So just,
in my head, that's how it went.
All right, now we're going to start off with, we just went over Gilbert Burns. Like, the short version to recap is that I don't think Usman is going to stop Burns. I do think Usman is going to win. But when you look at both of their styles over 5 rounds, I think this sets up for a very high floor possibility for Burns. And if I truly think he's a safe 60, 70 to points as a floor, which I do, then I can't pass up those kind of points for 7,200. Like, that's a low scoring win for a lot of people. So now all I have to do is hope that he doesn't fuck around and win quick or get stopped. So either one of those. Next up, Kamara Uzman. Like, simply put, Kamara Uzman is the best welterweight on the planet. I think he's going to hold on to that belt for a little longer. And, before he drops it to someone, he's going to have at least one more night of scoring a very large amount of points on DraftKings. If you listen to the show often, you know that I do not recommend stacking opponents unless the matchup is perfect for it. And I just believe this one's just that. Like, a good stack is basically a cheat code, so I'm going to roll with that this week. Next up, Maki Pitolo, 7,500. Take away the losses in 3 of his last 4 fights and just look at the tape between these guys. Maki is better than his record, and his opponent's very hittable. And I have my concerns about this fight with, among the lower price guys. But I see a definite path to victory for Mackie to outstrike and to outpace Marquez, who's coming off a very long injury layoff. For 7,500, I'll gladly take a decision win here. Next up, 7,900, Macy Barber. Like I said earlier, like I think the UFC knows what they're doing here. Barber is a very entertaining fighter, and at women's flyweight, a finisher is like some kind of rare artifact that just needs to be protected. So, like, I'm concerned about the knee injury. I am, and I may still back off this pick by week's end, depending on how other people's prices shake out. But like, if she doesn't look right at the weigh-ins, I might back off just because of that too. I don't know, but like, assuming she's healthy, I'm here for the win. Next up, 9,100, Ricky Simone. If you're scared of Brian Kelleher's guillotine, have fun being scared. Ricky Simone has never been guillotined as a pro or as an amateur, and I don't think it's just going to start happening now. Like, as long as that doesn't happen, Ricky is going to get takedown after takedown and he's going to get those control points. He's going to stay busy enough to justify his price tag. The one thing I will say about this, though, is just a heads up for pricing and all that, depending on who shakes up. I am seriously debating putting Bobby Green in on the spot, and part of me is actually hoping this fight gets COVID canceled so I can, so just stay tuned for that. Last up, not going to think too hard on this one, Rodolfo Vieira, 9,300 or 9,400. I wrote it down both ways because I'm dumb, but I don't have to sell you on this pick. Just imagine Hulk smashing Loki in Avengers and then throwing an armbar. That's how this fight's going to go. So that's my picks. Again, we'll run it one more time. Rodolfo Vieira, Ricky Simone, Macy Barber, Mackie Pitolo, Kamara Uzman, Gilbert Burns. Say it with me. Let's fucking go.
Appreciate the end intensity, which is even more established and pushed forward with the handlebar mustache.
Well,
like
1.9 thousand people. You got to bring it.
It's true. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if you next week you do not have said a handlebar mustache, you might be off the show because, for all we know, that's the magic between that and the subtle Santiago Ponce people. It wasn't even that hard. This one, I didn't even elicit as much voodoo that you do with that.
If I do the voodoo that you do, that's a good song. Sorry,
I know. Oh, sorry. Real Mike. Anything to say before I do my goodbye spiel?
No, we just appreciate each and every one of you each and every week interacting with us, liking, subscribing. And like I love to say it, and lately it's just keep investing and put 10% of your weekly paycheck into crypto and stocks, and you'll be doing better in the years to come.
And Mike Gills, I know you just went ham on some DraftKings, but obviously much appreciated. You're a DraftKings guy, and you're rubbing the mud. That's too much. I can't handle the rubbing the mustache. It's okay. So flashbacks. But do you have anything to say to either the people listening later or just the sheer amount of people that are watching now, which is a thing?
Yes, the only way you're going to feel better about paying for this absolute joke of a pay-per-view is to win money with us on DraftKings and following our bets. Let's go.
I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty solid thing going on there. Well, we will be back next week. If you like this, closing in on 2,000 people like this much, we will be back next week. We're here every Tuesday night, sometimes special times, but for sure every Tuesday night. We will be back next week to preview UFC Vegas 19 Blades versus Lewis. And I want to give a little shout out. We started doing this last week. We're going to keep this going because we're just getting so much love on here. We're going to do a little Haps Friends segment for people that are giving us some major credit. This is for Frazier Ramsey and Mr. Ryan Richardson at Kick Your Bass. You got to check him out. He's on Twitter. He's here in the Haps thing talking to us and does wonderful things for the show as well. For Bernard Doe from the land down under where the women glow and the men plunder in Melbourne, Australia. Thank you for all you people hopping in. Oh, Jamie B hopping in quick. How you doing, man? Thanks for all you're doing for us. But don't forget to subscribe to us on your platform of choice. That's Apple Podcast for the audio later, Spotify, Google Podcast, Overcast Podcast, the RSS feed, and here on Haps. Subscribe to each of us or all of us on the show or just any little thing around that. Remember to subscribe to us on YouTube too. There's live stuff and breakdowns of individual stuff after the fact. There'll be smaller tidbits later in the week. Like, comment, share, spread the word. Man, and with that, let's roll.